Hello everybody and welcome to the High Performance Garden Show. This is week 12 and this garden is cruising. We're going to have a lot of fun in this garden today. I think we always have a lot of fun in this garden every day. And sometimes I just like to even just walk past the garden and take in the beauty and the serenity. So sometimes I'm like sneaking through the building just enjoying the garden. Today we're going to feed the heavy feeders and we're going to feed the light feeders today. I have my compost and my Happy Frog fertilizer and I'm ready to get that done. I feed on the schedule to make sure that the garden gets fed, but I also look at the plants and will feed them in between the scheduled dates if I feel like they're hungry. Today is actually a scheduled date. The other thing that I do is I will also taste the vegetables, and if the flavor is lacking, I'll feed the plants more minerals. The minerals equal taste and nutrition, so a well-fed plant is going to give us a lot of plant available nutrients. So very important, keep your garden fed. You don't want to just give them water. That would be kind of boring, wouldn't it? Anyways, we're going to get started down here on the tomatoes and the spinach. Spinach is still producing like crazy, so might as well pick some. Okay, here's our spinach harvest from in between the tomatoes. I'm really surprised that the spinach is still going, but it's been a very cold spring, and that keeps the spinach going longer. Eventually it's going to bolt, and we'll take it out, but for today, it did great. Okay, so there's our spinach. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to work with the tomato plants. We want to cut off any of the suckers that are growing. And you want to look clear down to the bottom of the plant because there may have been some that we missed. And I'll put another clip on. So I want to clip the tomato not near the fruit, but either below it or above it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around to the back side of this plant, put my clip above the fruit up here, and that should hold it. And then we're also going to feed today. So each plant is going to get a scoop of compost. Just put that down at the base, and about a tablespoon of the Happy Frog fruit and flowers, the one that I like. Okay. And then as I'm looking at the plants, I'm looking for bugs and other things. It all looks good. Okay, next plant. I'll start by pruning. There's a sucker here. The plants are a little off color. I want to be sure I feed them well. The nights are still cold. That could be part of it too. That one looks good. Let's see if we need a clip. Okay. Okay, clipped on the top. Feed them. As you can see, this is a lot of hard work here. Actually so much fun. Okay, take a couple clips with us and we'll move around. Okay, this plant here has a couple suckers at the bottom, so I want to get those off. Little guy there, one right here. And we're going to put a clip on him too. Okay, right there. I see tomatoes hanging on these guys. That's exciting. We'll be eating tomatoes probably, my guess is 3 weeks. Okay, around to this side. One little sucker there. Little suckers at the bottom. This is the grape tomatoes, which I thought were my big yellow tomatoes, but probably a blessing in disguise. Put that there. These will be a lot of fun. So it doesn't really matter what kind we grow, as long as we get some, right? Okay. That one, last plant. Sucker there, sucker there. Sucker there. clip on it. Okay, there we are. The tomatoes are done. I'm not going to feed the spinach. My guess is within 2 weeks we're going to clear that out, mulch the bed, and this will just be tomatoes probably for the rest of the season. So I don't see any bugs. Everything else looks good. So we're going to leave the tomatoes and come on down to the cabbage. So down here in the cabbage, I've been squeezing the cabbage heads, and I want to get another one for dinner. So you just want to go along, squeeze them, see how firm they are. It's between this guy and this guy. Oh man, I think it's going to be that one. Okay, so you just want to get in here and you just want to cut that off at the base. You don't want to pull up the whole plant. If you take a look in the one in front of me, I'll take a look in a minute, you can already see the new cabbage plants growing. Look at that beauty. Woo! And these, you could use these for cabbage rolls too, the leaves. Okay, that's awesome. I'll leave that for dinner. But if you look in this plant up here, let me come around and show it to you. Okay, here we are. Put that leaf down there. You can already see right here, remember last week those were just little bumps? And now they're actually forming into cabbage heads. And I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 5 of them. We're going to take 3 of these out. We only want to grow 2. So you just break off those little heads. Gosh, which 2 do I want? I'm going to leave 3. I like them. 3. We're going to leave those 3. Okay, cabbage, we got to remember to spray our BT on this. And let's go ahead and feed these guys. Back around. Get my exercise today in this garden. All 20 steps of it. Okay. So we're just going to put some scoops of compost just down in between the plants. Cabbage is kind of a light feeder, but these are big and beautiful and I want to keep them that way. And we're going to be asking them to make a second crop, and when we do that I think it's important to feed them. Not much weeding going on in here, is there? The plants are touching each other, so there's not a whole lot of light for the weeds to grow with. And there's not a lot of weed seeds because we don't let things go to seed in our garden. That's one of our keys to our success, keeping our weed seed bank down. Okay, bring this around to the front. Okay, we'll do a little bit of feeding on this side too. The microbes and the earthworms, they'll come up and work this compost down in, and also when we water it'll leach nutrients down in. So it'll get itself around. Okay, there we are. Done with the cabbage, we're going to move on down to the cucumbers. Okay, in the cucumbers I'm starting to see a little discoloration on the edges, and that could be the cold weather. It could also be spider mite. We've had spider mite in this garden before. And one of the things as you learn the mastery of your garden is you're going to learn what bugs hatch at what time, what bugs attack what plants, and what to do about it. So for me, knowing that we will and can get spider mite in this garden, I will go ahead and order some spider mite predators. They're a red mite, and they actually eat the other mites, which are actually arachnids. They're actually in the spider family. And so we'll order the red mites, and we'll just release them in here, and that pretty much keeps the mite population under control. And I also know that right in the beginning of summer is when I need to do that. That's something that I've learned over time with my garden, is the timing of when I need to release the beneficials. So we will be doing that this week. We got another discolored leaf back here. You can see we got a little bit of activity going on, and usually if you look on the back side, you'll see the mites will start making a nest back in here. So that's what we're going to do for these guys. That one's going to go out in the compost. Other than that, I don't think they need clips today, but they definitely need fed. Oh my gosh, cucumbers are super heavy feeders, and we want a lot of cucumbers. So we're going to go ahead and get some goodie down in here. I think I'll put in a little extra. Okay. The measurement on the compost is not that important. Put in some Happy Frog, about a tablespoon per plant. Okay. That's all our cucumbers need today. And we're going to move on down to the zucchini plants. And I think the first thing I'll do is go ahead and harvest my spinach. It's still there, look. It's just up underneath. And I'll harvest it as long as it's willing to make leaves. It also, when it gets hot, it's going to bolt, and then we'll pull it out. But I bet you we can get another pound out of here. So let's go for it. Okay, here's our spinach. Not quite as much as we got in the tomatoes, but as you can see, the zucchini is getting huge. But still, what a great gift. I'm pleased to have it. And then I forgot to pick the shigaiku, so I went through there, and look, another meal, even around those gigantic cabbages. So look, the greens are adding up today. That's awesome. Now, we're going to get into the zucchinis. I got my long sleeves on so we can get this harvest. These things are putting out. So we're going to dig right down in here and start cutting these out. I like to cut them. I have broken a couple pair of scissors trying to cut them with the scissors, so I like to use my knife. And there are blossoms like crazy down in here now. While I'm in here, I'm looking for squash bugs. You want to be looking on the back sides of these leaves, the little golden BBs, or you want to look for the adults, which will be about a ½ inch long black little beetle. So you want to definitely watch for those. If you see the golden BBs, you want to squish them. Man, these plants could just swallow up a person. Oh, we're up to 3 already. I think I'm going to have to go to town and look for some unlocked cars pretty soon. Actually, the zucchini is great for freezing. You can actually just cook it all the way and freeze it. You can blanch it and freeze it. You can shred it and freeze it. It's pretty versatile. You can get it in the freezer, then you can have it all winter long. Hi, look at there, another one. See, this is fun. This garden is a lot of fun because I'm not fussing over weeds and sweating because I'm hoeing, or just mostly planting and picking, observing. That's a key component. Make sure you're observing. Okay, I think, woo, that's a beauty. That's about the size I like. And I like to just shred these into real thin, like spaghetti noodle shaped shreds, and then fry that in garlic butter. It's also really good with marinara sauce on it. So you can eat zucchini noodles instead of wheat noodles. one more trip around because you know how these things can grow. Oh, yep, sure enough. Okay, gosh, I think we got one for every day of the week. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, one for every day of the week and 2 for each weekend day. All right, that's pretty good. Nice harvest. Okay, this plant gives a lot. We got to give it back a lot. I'm not going to feed the spinach because it's coming out, but we're going to feed these zucchinis. And I think what I'll do is just scoop on each side. And a bit of my frog. Okay. I guess if you don't want your zucchini to overproduce, you can stop feeding it, but I like zucchini. And I really like to have it in the freezer for the winter because it's a very refreshing food for winter. Okay, and then we want to look for bug eggs. It's looking really clean. Probably because it's been cold and the bugs haven't hatched yet. Okay, that looks really good. Okay, I think this garden is done. We'll head over to the broccoli next. Okay, here we are in the broccoli and it's putting out again. So you just want to come through and just break off these branches. I call them brockets. I think they're actually called florets. And go through and get anything that the flower head, these little beads, you want to get them before they open. So you need to learn about when's the right time. Like this one's a little further along, but they're not open yet. If they do open, you can still eat them. It's fine. They're just a little bit strange is all. Okay. Nice of the broccoli to continue to make food. And these will go all season. Just the little florets get smaller and smaller, but they're still totally delicious. Okay. There's one more. Okay, well, we got a meal there. That'll work. And I want to feed these guys. And I'm looking at our onions. Now, we fed the onions last week when we planted them, or the week before. So they're good to go. Giving each broccoli a scoop of compost. So the process is we feed the soil. So the compost is feeding the soil. The soil is full of microbes which break down the compost into usable parts for the plants. So in essence, we're actually feeding the microbes. But we always say, oh, I'm feeding the broccoli. And that's okay. Okay. And we're going to do this, a couple times throughout the season. Just get everything fed. And we're just about ready for another layer of mulch. Maybe we'll do that next week. Okay, the broccoli, of course, will need a spray of BT. I have not seen any caterpillars. We're staying very clean. Haven't seen any aphids. That's the other thing you got to watch for. I think the broccoli is good. Okay, we'll move on down to the kale then. And we're going to go ahead and harvest our kale. Here again, we got these nice little tender leaves. And it's just the right amount for our family. Okay, we've harvested our kale. There's about a half a pound here, which is sufficient for our family for this week. And now I want to feed the kale. I've noticed that kale actually is a little heavy. It's a light feeder, but it likes a little more. So I'm just going to come down through the rows and I'm just going to sprinkle this compost, shake it down in, just to keep this stuff going, because these plants will produce for us the entire season. We'll take them clear into the fall. We're not going to replace them at all. So I think it's good to treat them well so they can treat us well. Do the same thing with the happy frog. The minerals are going to add the flavor. They're going to, this is what makes it sweet and gives it that, I don't know, that garden freshness. So you want to be sure that you mineralize your soils. Okay, round to the front. And what I'm doing here, instead of putting a scoop under each plant, is I'm just kind of broadcasting all over the garden. If you're using chemical fertilizers, you have to be careful because you can burn the plants and have all this damage, but shoot this organic stuff, you can kind of do what you want. You just got to make sure you get enough on. Okay, the kale is fed, and we want to be sure that we spray it with the BT because you're going to get the butterflies on it too. Okay, kale's done. We're ready to move down to the Joy Choy. I am seeing a little bit of chewing, and I see a little piece of poop right here. So this is telling me that there is some worms in here, because this is worm poop from it's either the cabbage loopers or it could be a cutworm. And so if you're seeing these little piles of feces, if it's cutworm, you need to come out at night and you need to look on the back sides of the leaves. The cutworm actually is from a little gray moth, and it does all its activity at night. So you may have a total infestation and never even see them, because the cutworms come up at night and the moths fly at night. So anyhow, somebody left some evidence. This tells me I should probably come out here a couple nights with my flashlight and see if I got some cutworms. If it's a cabbage looper, they're out during the day. The little white butterflies, they're out during the day, and you can catch them and see that they're around during the day. But cutworms, a little more sneaky. So anyways, we'll knock that off. We will wash this leaf, and then we're going to go ahead and harvest the rest of it. Because we got a good harvest here today. Here's a leaf that's been chewed on right there. See, somebody ate the whole corner out, and that looks like cutworms. But still edible. It's not like this has to go to the county fair and be shown. It just needs to go to the skillet and be wilted. So I don't have to worry about perfection in the leaves. Okay, here's our Joy Choy. There is a basket and a half, so there's probably a pound and a half, a little more. So that's perfect, because that's a good breakfast food. Okay, Joy Choy is going to be here a little while longer, so I'm going to go ahead and feed it. It won't hurt it. So same thing, we're just going to shake some compost down in there. This will bolt on us at some point, and then we're going to have to start over. But we'll get it while we can here. Okay, and we got to work a little harder to get this down out of the crowns of these plants. And when we water, I'm going to water them a little extra heavy with the hose and wash that out of the crowns. Okay, something about like that. I'll come around and get those others when we do the Swiss chard. Okay, Swiss chard is up next. And it's looking good. What are we looking for in Swiss chard is leaf miner. I have not seen any other bug that likes it. As we're harvesting weekly, we get very little leaf miner because we're not leaving anything behind. We may be harvesting some eggs, but that's all right. Okay, here's our Swiss chard for the week, and that's a nice amount. I don't need any more than that, so we're going to go with that. But I do want to feed the Swiss chard. It's going to go all season with us as well, and so I want to be sure that we're giving it enough food that it can produce nicely for us. So same thing, just going to kind of broadcast over the top of it. Ah, good shot. Okay, here we go. Clean these off a little bit. Okay, and then when I water, I'll rinse that down in as well. Okay, next section. This is our beet section, and some pretty nice beets. I think maybe we ought to get some out of here. So there's one. Whew, like that one. They were really, really good last week. We ate the tops and the bottoms with the apples and the coconut oil. And it was just the perfect meal. Actually, it lasted 2 meals. And with a little cinnamon sprinkled on it, it's awesome for breakfast. Okay. 1, 2, how many we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, the leaves are squeaky. There's 5. What do we got up here? I'm just kind of looking at them all, seeing what size they are. 6, 7. Whoa, that's a nice one. Okay, that should give us enough. That's 7. Okay, now we want to cruise through these things. Want to look for leaf miner. So any leaf with leaf miner, like this one's got a little bit right here, just take the leaf out or take the corner out of the leaf. That's your other option. Stick them in your pocket. I saw one over here. Yeah, it's got a lot going on there. Just stick them in my pocket. Next time I walk by the chicken yard, I throw them in, or they just stay squishy in my pocket till bedtime, and then they go in the trash. Okay, looking pretty clean. I think I'll go ahead and compost these. I do want the beets to stay a little bit longer. I think I'll do the broadcast thing on these two and then shake it down in. And we have our winter squash up here. There's a little guy right there. We'll start harvesting these beets away from them pretty soon. I have the ones that are in the pots. They are up, looking good. I think we'll get those planted in here next week. We'll get our trellis. Then we start trellising this guy skyward. That'll be the next thing for it. It's fine right now, hanging over the edge. They do not like the cold nights, and we're still dipping down into the high 30s. Except for last night. We were about 50 last night, which was nice. Okay, clean these off. Get the rest of it with the hose. Yeah, just a little bit of other fertilizer left. Give some for the squash. Okay, that's the end of that bucket. When the plants are fed well, their immune system is stronger and they can defend off bugs better. They also don't give out signals to bugs that they're weak. So feeding is also a great way to keep the bugs at bay. Okay, that looks gorgeous. That bed is done, and we're going to go on down to the lettuce. Okay, we had a question come in over the email about why do I remove some of the plant material on top when I transplant? Because the question was, Doesn't the plant need that material to bring in the sunlight to make the plant grow better? So there's my reasoning. Okay, so I pulled this lettuce plant up, and as you can see, the root is a lot smaller than the top. So what we're asking these roots to do, and the reason these roots are smaller is because I just pulled it up out of the ground and they broke off. In the ground, the plant is actually balanced. So anyhow, what we're asking these roots to do is to feed this entire top, but the roots need the rest of the root system in order to do that. So what happens is, because these roots, when we transplant, these roots can't get enough nutrient and water up to the top starts to wilt and die. So by reducing the top, so I just take the top, I'm breaking that off. So now I got a plant that looks more similar top and bottom. And this plant can now get enough nutrients and water up to this top. The crown is still intact. So the crown is down inside here, and as the new leaves grow out, there will be a balance of roots down below. So that's why I take the tops off. And in my experience over the years and years and years and decades of transplanting, the plants that I do this with, I have a higher survival rate than the plants that I don't do this with. So if I'm transplanting these and I leave the tops on and I look at the garden bed and they're all wilty and laying over, most of those will die. But when I reduce the top and they're not wilting and they're just being a little short and stubby for the first week, the survival rate is amazing. So anyhow, that's my reasoning. You can do whatever you want to with your garden. This is just my experience and how I keep my plants alive. So I'm going to stick this guy back in, and then we'll get him a drink of water. I think I have a little bit in my water can. Very little. The other question that was asked by the same person was why I don't pity pat. So I just stuck that guy in and squeezed the soil shut around him. And the reason that I don't pity pat is, number one, we do production work, and if we're pity patting, it's wasting a lot of time. What I found is that the water will do that. So the reasoning for the question was, if you firm the soil in around the roots, you get rid of the air pockets. But I can firm the soil with water. So when I come through and water, I'm automatically firming the soil for all of my plants. So that's why we don't pity pat, and that's why I reduce the tops. Okay, let's get our lettuce harvested. I'm going to come up here and get started. Okay, here is our lettuce. We went and got it picked, and this is just right for our family, plus a little bit to give away. And as you can see, we're only running on 2 sections, and that's plenty for us. Now, if you need less salad, just plant less plants. There's about 30 plus plants in each of these sections. So if this is twice as much too much, then just put in 15 plants at a time. But the secret is putting it in every 3 weeks. So you want to keep that rotation. Now this section here, I'm just starting to see some of the new ones coming up. Actually, they're there. They're just red and they're hard to see. I'll continue to water this. If you need it to stay wetter, you want to water a second time in the evening, especially as it gets hotter, and also can put a little mulch over this. So lettuce is looking good. I don't need to feed this because we feed this every time we switch it out. So every 12 weeks, this is getting food anyways. So yeah, garden's done. Let's go take a look at our harvest. Okay, so before we do our harvest totals, we forgot to do the carrots because they're just peaceful and quiet and do their own thing. No bugs, looking great. The one thing I do want to do is to feed them. That one I pulled last week that smelled so good, it was awesome. It was so delicious. And part of the key to carrots is to keep them well mineralized. So we definitely want to use our Happy Frog fruit and flower fertilizer here and get these things mineralized. Now you can use other fertilizers. This is just happens to be the one that I found that I like. Anything that's got lots of trace minerals in it, anything that has the beneficial microbes and is organic. Those are the key pieces that you're looking for there. Okay, and compost. Compost also has our microbes. Compost has nutrients. Compost should have minerals, but I like to add a mineralized organic fertilizer just in case we're missing a mineral, because the plants need all their minerals, not just some of them. Okay, that should keep our carrots going. A little bit more way over here. There. Okay, did I get the guy in the corner? Let's get the guy in the corner. There we go. Okay, now we're really done. Very good. And then this pot here, this is our firecracker. That's the name of it. And these plants are just going to come up, get big, bushy. We're not going to harvest them. They're going to be standing this tall, have big, beautiful seeds on them. And I'll show you how to harvest that so that we have a supply of seed for next year. So anyhow, okay. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at the harvest. The spinach, we had 1.6 pounds. The shigaiku, we had a 1/4 pound, which it's still putting out, even though the cabbage is growing over the top of it. The kale, we had 0.5 pounds. The choy choy, we had 2.15 pounds. Swiss chard, we had 0.6 pounds. The beets, we had 1.75 pounds. That's the actual beets. The beet greens, we had 1.4 pounds. The broccoli, we had a 1/2 pound. That huge cabbage was 3.6 pounds. The zucchini, there was 6.75 pounds. So I will definitely eat some and freeze some so I can have that for the winter. Lettuce, 1.75 pounds. So we had a really amazing harvest this week. The value of it was $98.92, which this garden, it should crank at that volume the rest of the season. What you're seeing is what we're going to continue to do. So super easy, super fun. Our year-to-date total right now in savings is $643.16. So love this garden, absolutely love it. So this garden gives us more than just amazing food. The 12th gift that my garden gives me is peace. My garden is weed-free, just the right size. It produces an abundance of nutrient-dense organic vegetables. It looks amazing and is a joy to work in, sit in, and just to be around, just to observe. So my garden gives me peace and tranquility, not to mention a super delicious dinner. And breakfast, don't forget breakfast. I also eat it for lunch too, so all 3 meals. So if you have a smaller space or you have limited time and you would like just the details on how to grow the greens on your patio or in containers, then the Leafy Greens Container Garden course is the one for you. In this course, we show you how to grow an amazing variety of greens, more than we do in this garden, in containers right there on your patio. And this is a great way to start growing your own food if you're limited in space or time. And you can have your greens and eat them too, which is so much fun. So the Leafy Greens Container Garden course is only $49, and you can start one almost any time of the year. So you want to check the What Can I Plant Today chart. And if you see that you can plant lettuce or spinach on that chart, then you can start a Leafy Greens Container Garden course right there in your backyard or your front yard, on your patio, on your rooftop. Very versatile. You can even pack them in the car and move with them if you need to. So after you've checked the chart, see what you can plant today. There is a few time periods for the northern growers where they can't plant anything, but it's the perfect time to get the course and study it so that you are ready to go. You can get all your supplies and you'll be gardening before you know it. So there's no time like the present to get started on your garden. Also, I want to invite you to come and visit the farm. If you're traveling across Colorado, we are just an hour and a half south of I-70, and the detour is so worth it. You'll see some of the best that Colorado has to offer, and most people never take the time to travel our way, and they miss an amazingly scenic drive. So we're open for tours Thursday through Sunday from 1 to 6, and our season is May until October. So if you need details, go to the website and you can get details. That's thelivingfarm.org. And you can go get details and then come by and see us. You can come see this garden and we'll give you a good tour. So So until next time, may your garden be easy, fun, productive, and always organic.